Hello, this is the first in a short series of videos designed to get you started with data analysis in Google Sheets. In this series of videos, we'll walk through some introductory examples of data analysis using a real dataset collected last year from a student project. Along the way, we're going to learn some tricks and techniques to help us take full advantage of all that Google Sheets has to offer. Let's get started by taking a look at our data. The first thing that I want to mention is that the data we're about to see was automatically collected using a Google form. Many of you have seen Google Forms before. If you haven't, they're worth checking out. They're a very easy way to administer surveys. They look something like this on the user end. People come through, they click their best choices, and then they submit. And Google in the background is going to collect all this information, and it's going to spit out all of the answers for the people who participated in your survey into a Google Sheet. And this is primarily where we're going to do all of our data analysis. Here's the data set we're going to use in this series of videos. What you'll notice immediately is that each row in this data set is corresponding to an individual participant's answers across a bunch of different questions that were administered through the Google form. The questions appear as the column titles, and then each row below corresponds to an answer for that question by each of our participants. And if we scroll down to the bottom of the list, we can see how many participants there were in this survey. For this data set, we end in row 101. This actually means there's 100 participants, and we'll see this later when we provide a unique ID for each one of the surveyed participants. When you have a lot of data, scrolling down to get to the bottom of your data set or scrolling all the way to the right to get the edge, the last of your variables, can be kind of tedious. So I want to show you a quick keyboard shortcut for doing this. And this keyboard shortcut is going to apply in a couple other places as well. So if I want to get to the bottom, let's say I'm sitting here at this cell and I want to get to the bottom to see how many participants there are. Rather than scrolling down, what you can do is the following. If you're on a Mac, hold down the Command key and then just press the down arrow. The equivalent is Control and then down if you're on a PC. This will take you automatically to the last row where you have data. If you want to move back up, same idea. Hold down either the Control or the Command key and then press the button in the direction that you want to move, up. If I want to move all the way to the right, I can hold down again, either Command or Control, and move to the right, and it takes me to the last column inside of my data set, which in this case is the last variable that I could consider. And if I want to move back, I can always just do Command and to the left. Right? So this is a nice way to bounce around to the ends of your data set. Now, if I want to highlight my entire table, there's a couple of different approaches. So try this. If you hold down the Shift button and then use your arrow keys, you'll notice that you start to select based on where you're moving that lower right-hand corner of the box. So if we combine this with our methods of jumping all the way to the right or all the way down, if we hold the Command and the Shift key and press the right button, we're going to highlight all of the columns, all the column titles, I should say. And then if we hold the Command Shift down again and hit down, we're going to highlight all the rows. And this is a very quick way of highlighting your entire data set. So you'll notice everything, all the data that I'm considering is going to be highlighted. We're going to need this later in the videos. Another way of doing this, another shortcut way of doing this, is to use either Command A or Control A when you're inside any cell of your data set. It'll automatically highlight everything for you. When you're first exploring your data, sometimes it's helpful to be able to take all of your data and group it by the response to a certain column or a certain variable. So for example, if I wanted to look at what are common responses between females and males, what I might want to do is take all of my data and group it off so that I have maybe all the females at the top and the males in the bottom. Okay? So in order to do this in Google Sheets, we apply a filter. It's very straightforward. The first thing we want to do is select all of our data. And remember, we can do that in two ways. You can either use Command A, or if you start in the upper left-hand piece of your data, you can hold down Command and Shift, use the right arrow to get all the way to the right, and the down arrow to get all the way to the bottom. Remember, on a PC, you'll be using Control Shift or Control A. Okay, once you have your data highlighted, if you go in the upper right-hand corner of Google Sheets, you'll see something that looks like a small beaker that's upside down or a funnel. This is our filter button, and if you click it once, you'll notice that the column titles are turned to bold, and now we have these little buttons to the side of each one of our column titles. If you click on any one of these buttons, it gives you some different sorting options. So for example, if I wanted to group off by responses to gender, I can sort this A to Z or Z to A, however I decide to do this. And what happens is all of my data set is going to update so that the responses to this particular column are now grouped together. So all of my female responses are grouped together. And as I scroll down, I get all of my male responses next. And then I have my other responses, and it looks like a missing response here. So this is a nice way as you're exploring your data to kind of look through and sort things based on the answers to a particular variable. And it helps you get a feel for your data and also helps you explore trends.